Kosovo is a region in southeastern Europe that has been seat of conflict between ethnic Serbs and Albanians for many years. The conflict has reached its peak in 1998 when war between Federal Republic of Yugoslavia and Kosovo Liberation Army officially started. On one side were Yugoslavs, by that time republics of Serbia and Montenegro, and on the other side were Kosovo Liberation Army, NATO and Albanian Army. The Kosovo Liberation Army was formed in 1991. That was the same year when Slovenia and Croatia left Yugoslavia. Since Yugoslavia was dealing with internal conflicts and other unresolved issues, KLA saw it as a perfect opportunity for Kosovo to break away. In 1995, they carried out first attacks targeting Serbian law enforcement in Kosovo. In the following years, many sabotages were carried out with sole purpose of destabilizing the region and reducing the presence and authority of Serbian enforcement in Kosovo. Large amounts of arms have been smuggled from Albania, which caused massive rebellions. That only later resulted in an increased presence of Serb paramilitaries and regular forces who began pursuing a campaign of retribution targeting KLA sympathizers and political opponents. After trying to resolve the conflict with diplomacy, which obviously failed, NATO intervened and justified the campaign in Kosovo as a humanitarian war. The conflict continued for the next couple of years, causing aerial bombardment of Yugoslavia in 1999. The war concluded on 9th June in 1999 with Kumanovo Treaty, and in 2008 Kosovo gained independence, sort of said, since it wasn't really recognized by all the countries. Point of this video, however, isn't talking about what has happened in Kosovo War, since all of this information is quite easy to get by on the internet. Point of this video is why. Why were there over 3,000 casualties? Why did Kosovo start to attack Serbian law enforcement and wanted to break away? Why is there such a hate between Serbians and Albanians? Well, we can't really answer all that in a simple sentence. Kosovo has been a hotspot, place of conflicts and violence long before the Kosovo War. In fact, even in Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, every once in a while Tito had to send an army to Kosovo to re-establish peace and order. So why was there always a conflict in Kosovo? Well, that's because Kosovo was ethnically quite different from the rest of Yugoslavia. As you might know, Yugoslavia was consisted of several ethnicities. They were all, however, Slavic. But majority of Kosovo were ethnic Albanians. So why do Serbians feel so close to Kosovo? Why do you often hear a phrase Kosovo je srce Srbije when a majority of Kosovars are ethnic Albanians? Well, Kosovo may not seem important to someone who isn't Serbian. After all, the region has economic issues and other internal difficulties. But Kosovo is rather sacred to Serbs. It's the very cradle of Serbian identity and their faith. Kosovo has been part of Serbia for 800 years, and the Serbs have been living in Kosovo for over 1,000 years. It's part of their inheritance, part of the country where most of the Serbian churches and monasteries are located. This is also why Kosovo is actually fully named Kosovo and Metohija. The name originates from the word metod that stands for church land. My personal opinion on the topic is that Kosovo and Metohija is undoubtedly Serbian land, and I really do understand why Serbs feel the way they do. Now don't get me wrong, many horrible events have unfolded between the years of 1995 and 1999. By no means I supported any kind of genocide, but I do now understand why things are where they are. The region simply has too many ties to Serbia. It's the beginning and the cradle of the Serbian identity, the symbol of Serbian faith. So it's very unfortunate that those events unfolded in this way and that we are where we are. But it's also very unfortunate that many, especially Slavic countries, didn't step in and support the Serbs. I'm from Slovenia, and I still question myself why Slovenia, along with many other Slavic countries, recognized the independence of Kosovo. I do understand the politics work in a different way. They have their own interests, and probably number one for these countries was simply to be on the majority side and later get points to join the EU and NATO. But many of these, I'm not gonna say people, since I do believe many Slovenians and Croats actually support Serbia. Many of these politicians totally forgot that especially Slovenians, Croats and Serbs worked together in the past for common goal. These countries, or I can say people, have truly been brotherly with each other. And today, nothing matters since politics don't care about any of this.
January 1999. Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic's parliamentary troops kill 45 ethnic Albanians. The international community is outraged. By March, they decide they've finally had enough.
If President Milosevic will not make peace, we will limit his ability to make war.
A NATO coalition of 19 countries begins Operation Allied Force. Generals decide to strike Serbian military installations, crippling Serbian forces.
The plan was for this to be several nights of pinpoint strikes against strategic type targets. If we take out very, very selective targets to Slobodan Milosevic, he would come to the bargaining table and he would agree to NATO's terms.
March 27th, 1999. Aviano Air Base, Italy. The fourth night of the war. Zelko prepares to fly into Serbian airspace. His mission, take out a key military command center near the Serbian capital, Belgrade.
My target was in the Belgrade area, one of the most heavily defended cities in the world.
With stealth as his only defense, Zelko gives it gas and flies straight towards a maze of Serbian air defenses.
And it was almost a full moon night, so there was that huge threat of, can they visually see me? That was always on our minds anytime we had moon illumination.
Zelko quickly reaches the Serbian command center unopposed. Moments later, he deploys his bombs.